This route will be an epic challenge, and one which will reward you with some of the most stunning landscapes in the peaks. So join us today on this journey around the Vale of Edale. Hi, I'm Dave, and I'm here with my hiking buddies Neil and Jeremy, and we're just leaving Mam Tor Car Park to head up over Rushup Edge. Today we will bag the 6 Ethels that sit above the Vale of Edale: Lord's Seat, Brown Knoll, Kinderlow, Grindslow Knoll, Loose Hill, and last but no means least, the mother of mountains, Mam Tor. But don't worry, as we leave Mam Tor behind us, we will return to this mother of mountains again later. But first, this path will take us to Lord's Seat, a Bronze Age barrow mound which commands some fine panoramic views. Whilst walking in the other direction would give you fine views of Mam Tor ahead of you. I think I prefer this direction, walking with the sun on my back. The paraglider seemed to prefer heading in this direction too. It's a gradual ascent, but we soon reach the Lord's Seat Barrow, our first Ethel of the day. Although this tumulus is not the summit, the actual summit point is a featureless patch of grass, so I hope you agree this makes for a more interesting subject. The path becomes wider as we make the short descent to the Chapel Gate track, and at this time of year you will likely come across many sheep and lambs, so be mindful of them and let them clear the way in their own time. They will probably leave the path as soon as they spot somewhere to hide, behind a wall or a bush, and likely stay there until you have gone past. Of course, there will likely be more just around the next bend. It's a fair hike to Brown Knoll though, and you'll be thankful of this stone path, as either side, as you will see, the ground is very boggy. The path itself follows pretty much the highest point of this part of the moor, so on days like today you will get a pretty good view of the Vale of Edale. These views will speed your pace toward Brown Knoll, and as the trig comes into sight you will know that the long walk through the moor is nearly done. For us, this challenge was a training trek, as something else nearly upon us is our charity challenge for Yes, a local charity important to us, supporting mental health and wellbeing for adults and young people across Staffordshire. Please check the description for more information. The trig itself, perched atop a patch of grass, is surrounded by stone slabs, but that doesn't stop this becoming somewhat of an island after heavy rains, so be prepared to cross some water. At 569 metres, this is the highest point before climbing up to Kinder itself, yet the view is somewhat obscured by the flatness of this summit. But leaving this boggy summit, the slabbed path continues down to the Pennine Way, on its way up from Jacob's Ladder. And where our return to Kinder has become somewhat closer now. From here, the features that adorn the edge of Kinder are now much more keenly in focus. Crowden Tower with its imposing buttresses, the dotted rocky sheep that make up the Woolpacks, and the towering mass of stone that is Pym Chair, the solitary Noe Stool, and the gateway to Kinder that are the Edale Rocks. But now the ascent to Kinder begins. Ahead of us, the rampart-like form of Swine's Back. As you progress, don't forget to look back down through the valley, where you'll see the clear outline of the infamous path that is Jacob's Ladder. Passing the Swine's Back, the steepness of the path lets up for a moment, as the mass of stone that are Edale rocks come into view. Savour the moments as you approach these rocks. To me, they felt more magnificent from a distance, but once up close their shapes merge into one, and for me their form was lost. Although I did not do so today, there are some fine views to be had from the top, and looking back the path I had just climbed, know I will be back again to see for myself. Passing Edale rocks, the climb up to Kinder Low is almost done, and this cairn will be a welcome sight for anyone who has walked this way before. Passing it, the ground begins to flatten out, the horizon drops, and these large stones before us appear scattered as if sown by some giant's hand. The path is clear, sweeping forward as if guiding you to the peak. The trig point that marks this edge of Kinder is set atop a large boulder, and it presents itself to you majestically as if a beacon emerging from the ground. And once seen, your footsteps will bring you even more quickly, until you stand before it, and drawn as a giant magnet, you will be pulled effortlessly towards it. Although Kinder Low is not the highest point on the Kinder Plateau, it is the preferred location for the Ethel summit. The actual summit of Kinder Scout is located in the middle of the moor, with no direct paths, so people are encouraged to keep to the main paths and use this place instead. Even so, this may be easier said than done. For some, including me, I'm not as nimble as I was in my youth, but hopefully you won't notice the edit I needed to show a clean step up. Once here though, you will get a panoramic view of the whole route and more. Looking out at the edge of Kinder, you can see the nearby Ethel of Mill Hill. Sadly I could not quite make out the trig point at Sandy Hays, but to the west is Hayfield, to the south of which are the further three Ethels of Mount Famine, South Head and Chinley. Of course Brown Knoll and Lord Seat from earlier, and later we'll be on the Great Ridge for Loose Hill and Mam Tor. But first, the obligatory selfie here at the highest point of our hike today. Leaving here, I looked back for a moment to reflect on the journey so far. It's not quite the halfway point, but from here it is now mainly downhill. But first, the perilous crossing of the open moor. Well, maybe not today, but it can be, depending on the weather. As you can see, walking through this gruff, you can't see far even with near perfect visibility. So imagine what this might be like if you are descending through the cloud or fog. And also, if it has rained, this channel is a watercourse, and the peat banks will become boggy. At this point, you get an option to follow this watercourse around to the right, or to head straight on and out. I'm sure on my last visit, I think I entered the gruff from straight on. Maybe check out my video on ringing Roger to Kinder Low and let me know in the comments. But today, as the course was dry, I followed it around a little further. Eventually you leave the gruff as the ground ahead drops away. The path for us though sweeps around eastwards, following the edge at this level. At least now the way ahead is clear, but there are still watercourses and a couple of boggy patches to negotiate, even on this dry ground. Now, I have visited Kinder several times, although on most occasions I have approached the trig point on the Pennine Way, and having reached it, I've then turned back. This is only my second time walking the Kinder Edge path, and my last visit was over a year ago, and at that time I was coming from Ringing Roger, which is way beyond the rocks now in front of me. Then the morning sun was on my back, and I was walking in the opposite direction, so everything is already being seen in a different perspective. But from each time I have returned, something now looks different, and I didn't realise it until after I had watched back this footage. The cairns are disappearing, and we will see it more obviously at Grindslow Knoll. But slowly, everything is shifting around the stony places we are about to pass. Now, thank you for watching this far. You must like what you see. But before you forget, please do give this video a like, and please do consider subscribing. It would mean a great deal to me, as you are the energy that keeps me going, and there are many more adventures yet to be had. The cairns that once marked the approaches to these places, those little signals left by passing hands, are thinning, sinking, slipping back into the earth. The moor remembers the shape of the wind more than the shape of our stones. So up here, it would seem, the land carries its history lightly. Looking out now to Noe Stool, you can see how the moor is learning to heal. Young heather and patches of bilberry almost luminous in the sunshine, with new green growth, and the slow green bright spread of sphagnum in the hollows. The land forgets the stones we stack, but it remembers how to mend itself. And as we approach Pym Chair, the moor shows us what rises in place of what is lost. The heather, now bright with new green growth, soft, vivid, almost glowing against the dark peat. Right now in early summer, it is gathering its strength, and by late July and into August, these shoots will burst into colour, deep purples of ling and warm pinks of bell heather, a quiet promise of what's to come. Rewilding doesn't announce itself. It arrives in small, patient moments like this. Passing below Pym Chair, the edge narrows, urging you along as if a perpetual wind trapped by these rocks is propelling you forward. As you leave, you pass boulders that seem similarly strewn by this ancient force, but at a glance down into the valley shows a carpet of green that appears much more ordered. There also the steep etched paths of Jacob's Ladder, easing their way up and onto the moor. Yes, there are two paths, the original thought to have been made by Jacob Marshall an 18th century farm, which sweeps south towards the clough before dropping to the Pack Bridge at the bottom. The new path, opened in 1987, rises from the Pack Bridge and heads up in front of the trees, and which you take is up to you. Ahead of us now, the woolpacks, rocks scattered across the open moor like a herded flock of sheep. Entering the flock, the sense of forgetting becomes almost tangible. These sculptured rocks feel eternal, but even they are being worn smooth, grain by grain, storm by storm. The cairns once stood here too, but now they have just become suggestions rather than markers. Only half memories in the landscape. Kinder doesn't erase suddenly. It forgets slowly, gently, as if tidying away the things we left behind. And on that note, this is probably a good time to mention the things we should definitely not leave behind, and that's anything that we brought with us. We should leave no trace, save our footprints, and where possible our footprints should only be left on the paths that have been made for us. We should respect the beauty and wonder of these places and take from them only the memories we have made. But here, the woolpacks are a truly wondrous place. You could easily lose yourself wandering within them, so I will let you enjoy this landscape as I find my way out. Eventually, these rocks will mark the exit, and you will once again be released to the moor. Leaving this place, I can't help thinking that it will remember me, and that I must return. Crowden Tower looks ancient, immovable, yet everything around it is slowly shifting. The cairns that once marked these approaches are nothing more than memories in the wind, and the steep sides of Crowden Clough are now bursting with a carpet of grey. Crowden Clough is one of the first major points at which Kinder empties itself into the River Noe. Here, many streams converge at this place, before the essence of Kinder itself cascades its way down Crowden Brook, forming many waterfalls as it does. Today this brook is fed by just a trickle of water, but this stone, when wet, is as slippery as ice, and after rain the water can rage with a force making it impossible to cross. Today, though, with some care, I passed across safely, but others this day had not been so fortunate, so please do take care. That said, this place isn't one that you need to rush by. On days like this, the gentle trickle of the water flowing over these rocks is soothing to the soul. So before leaving, take a moment to breathe. That moment is also needed, as there is a steep, steady climb out of the clough to get back onto the path. And once near the top, don't forget to look back one last time before you journey on. For what now lies ahead is the clear step that is Grindslow Knoll and the long path towards it. But even though you have left the head of the Crowden Clough behind you, it will follow you for the rest of this leg of your journey. By contrast, this part of the path is adorned with fewer rocks, though they do exist just further down the slope. The path is more sandy too, as if the rocks here had been but no more. Then the path once again becomes paved, something you will be thankful for, as if you look in places either side of it, the grasses and brackens hide pools and channels that are finding their own way of staying on this plateau. Eventually, you will reach the foot of the knoll, but don't be fooled by its minor stature. These gruffs are steep, and the peat easily gives way to your boots. Even today, as it is dry, this path needs to be climbed. Maybe not a difficult climb, but one that requires balance and patience. But the reward is not far off. These rocks are not a false summit. Reaching them, you will be there. Just through this gap, and the domed shaled summit will show itself. But even here, on Grindslow Knoll, where the cairn is official, it's flat. What has been a familiar shape for so many years is now settling low, year by year. 9 years ago, this cairn was several feet high, and you needed to stand beside it. It was a major feature of this summit, but even now, just 9 seasons of wind and frost have softened it and taken its edges. It's not destroyed, just returned. Now just a reminder that nothing we build up here is permanent. And maybe that's the quiet truth of Kinder. It forgets our markers, but not out of indifference. It forgets so that it can renew, so that the heather can rise, so that the peat can breathe, so that the late summer colours can spill out across the moor again. Up here, forgetting isn't an ending, it's the landscape beginning again. And descending Grindslow Knoll, the land changes character again. The wildness of Kinder softens, and the Great Ridge rises. A long sweeping spine that has carried footsteps for centuries. Up there, the forgetting of the plateau gives way to different kinds of memories. Those where paths have been worn by pilgrimage, by return. The climb to Hollins Cross starts at this farm track, off the road to home. Leaving the cover of the trees, this path may feel more familiar as the Great Ridge opens up before you. The Great Ridge and Rushup Edge form a natural boundary between the gritstone of the dark peak, within which the Kinder Plateau sits, and the limestone of the white peak to the south. And the path we now tread has been shaped by the simple act of people passing over the lowest and shortest route from Edale to Castleton. Every footstep adds a thread to the story of the ridge. Every season lays down another layer of light and weather. It's a crossing point, a meeting place, a hinge between valleys. And it holds its history in the form of this path. As the edge rises toward Barker Bank, the world opens on both sides. Edale falling away to the north, Hope Valley stretching to the south. The wind is different here, less insistent than on the Kinder, more like a steady breath brushing along the tops of these hills. This is a gentler landscape, but still no less ancient. The path carries the memory of all who have walked it, which now includes my footsteps. And these memories will remain even as the land slowly reshapes its edges. Here the ridge rises again to Back Tor. Sharp and dark against the sky, its sheer cliffs standing on its northern side. and these steps mask a seriously steep climb. At the top, a rounded summit, where once many cairns had been placed in little clusters, each a small gesture of presence left by passing walkers. But no longer. Now they're gone, cleared away or taken by the weather, returned stone by stone to the hillside where they belonged. The ridge doesn't need them. Its shape is its own marker, its silhouette enough to guide anyone who walks it. And another reminder that the hills alone decide what stays. But ahead and through this final gateway, the final climb to the summit, Loose Hill rises like a final note at the end of a long phrase. At its summit, the whole ridge lies behind you. Although the view marker is a centre point, the true summit is at these stones. But heading back along the ridge, the winding path invites you to follow its rhythm, all the way to Mam Tor. The heather here is young and bright, bathing the banks either side of the path, framing the sloping pastures of grass. By late summer, this whole ridge will glow purple in quiet celebration of the moor's renewal. But walking this ridge from Loose Hill to Mam Tor feels like retracing a thought that you're not quite finished. The land holds its shape, but the light keeps changing. Every step shows the hill in a slightly different mood. This is a place that remembers, not through cairns and markers, but through the path itself, through the way it draws you onward, and through the way it brings you back. And as Mam Tor rises ahead, broad and steady, you feel the journey settle into something complete. From forgetting the winds of Kinder to remembering the ridgeline of the Great Rigde, this landscape has carried you through its quiet storms, telling you that up here nothing is fixed, but everything belongs. The hills change, the markers fade, but still the path endures. Thank you for watching. Your support is the energy that keeps me going. Please don't forget to press the like and do consider subscribing. There is much more to come. Happy hiking!